Hi, I'm Gary Covington, a design consultant here at Lamont Brothers. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about adding an ADU to your property. Over the past few years, I've helped a lot of clients add ADUs to their properties, and I'm going to guide you along this journey. What is an ADU? An ADU stands for an accessory dwelling unit. And one of the biggest key differences about an ADU is that it's going to have its own address, it's going to get its own bills, and it's going to get its own mail. What's the difference between a mother-in-law suite and an ADU? They can both be the same thing and they can be different at the same time. It all comes down to how you plan on using that property, what the future use is of it, and if separating the utilities and having a separate address is really an important factor of the project. ADUs can come in lots of different shapes and sizes, and depending on which county you're in, it can dictate how big that ADU can be. For instance, in Portland, ADUs can be no larger than 800 square feet, versus in Westland, we can build them up to 1,000 square feet. Can you even build an ADU in your area? That's a really great question, and there's really only one solid way to find out. You need to call your county office, you need to talk to your planning department, and they'll either direct you to the right person to talk to or they'll have the answer for you. And they should be able to look up your property, look at your setbacks, and help you understand if you could build an ADU on your property. If you're looking to put a full kitchen in this unit, then it has to go through the ADU process. And that's one of the biggest differences between an ADU and an addition, is that if you want that Ranger cooktop, it must be an ADU. Another common question I get asked is, can an ADU be attached or detached? And honestly, this is a real big misconception in most cases, where a lot of people think that an ADU has to be detached from the home, but this is not the case. You can have an ADU attached, detached, a basement ADU, or an attic ADU, as long as it has its own entrance, it gets its own bills, its own mail, and has its own address. Now we're going to talk about the one thing that everybody really wants to know: cost. How much could this cost me? Well, that really depends on how big of a unit we build, what it looks like, what the features are, what material we use. But considering a range anywhere from $300,000 to $700,000 is not inappropriate for a project like this. A lot of people want to know what the price per square foot is. There are a lot of contractors out there that build off of square foot pricing. But for a design build firm like us and a standard remodeling process, it's just not that black and white. And your square foot prices can range drastically depending on the architectural creativity of the project itself, the property and the access to it, and the materials we use. But you should expect at least a range of $450 to $750 a square foot. Why is this so expensive? Well, the reality is that costs are continuing to increase. And even though things are leveling out a little bit, I still anticipate through our lifetime to see gradual increases annually for construction materials and labor. The other thing is these specific projects have lots of things that you don't get to see in the process itself. So permits are wildly expensive, utilities are wildly expensive, foundation, all of these things have a big cost to it that aren't the fun, beautiful things you get to see at the end of the project. A common question I get asked is if it's going to be less expensive to either attach the ADU or detach the ADU. And really, that depends a lot on the property and the existing structure that's there. Sometimes attaching an ADU to an existing structure can add more complications and add more costs because you have to restructure the existing structure. Sometimes that means detaching can be the more affordable route, but it depends a lot on the property. So here are some commonly asked questions about our process. The biggest one is, what are we going to do in this process? We're going to generate a handful of designs and concepts. We're going to look at a lot of different budgets, and we're going to outline the best concept and best budget that fits for your project. We're going to take care of all the permitting, engineering, and everything all the way to construction and wrapping this thing up and cleaning it for you. So that way when we're done, you can just enjoy your project. Basically, there's very little we don't do. How long is all of this going to take? Well, that's a really, really great question. Throughout the whole process from the start of design to the end of construction, when you get to enjoy your new project, probably somewhere between 6 and 9 months. In the design process, you could have somewhere between 3 and 4 months, then about a month or two of prep, and then somewhere between 3 and 4.5 months of construction. When can we start this project? Well, we're ready for you right now, and we can start the design anytime you want. One thing to really take into consideration is the weather. And we really like doing these projects when it's nice outside, in the summer or in the springtime. And so considering that when planning the ADU and when you want to start your process is really important. If you're watching this video, you're probably considering adding an ADU to your property. Make sure you continue to do your research so that you can invest your money in a way that's going to help you see this transformation come to reality. If you're interested in learning more about adding an ADU to your property, visit our Learning Center on our website.